Verdi by Janell. And Verdi is what? You're right, a snake. On a small tropical island, the sun rose high above the steamy jungle. A mother python was sending her hatchlings out in the forest, the way all mother pythons do. Grow up big and green as the trees' leaves, she called to her little yellow babies as they happily scattered among the trees. But Verdi dawdled. He was proudly eyeing his bright yellow skin. He especially liked the bold stripes that zigzagged down his back. Why the hurry to grow up big and green, he wondered. Maybe some of the older snakes in the jungle could tell him. Verdi ventured into the treetops to look for them. So Verdi in this picture is a baby snake. Or at least not too big of a snake. Umbles, Aggie, and Ribbon were lazing on some branches nearby. Verdi peered at their droopy green bodies. It's not polite to stare, chided Aggie. Umbles burped and groaned. It's taken nearly 4 weeks for that last lizard to digest. I surely do like lizards, but lizards don't like me. Why don't lizards like you? Asked Verdi. Don't interrupt, Umbles grumbled. Dear me, whined Aggie. If I don't shed soon, this itchy skin will drive me bananas. Verdi tapped a tune with his tail as he waited to speak. Stop that, Verdi. It makes me nervous, Ribbon complained. Besides, you'll never grow up to be properly green, always interrupting and constantly fidgeting. Verdi couldn't imagine being in such a hurry to be like them. And he really wanted to keep his sporty stripes. Hoping to find snakes that weren't so boring, Verdi slipped away. Dozer was snoring in a tree not far from the others. Hello, said Verdi. Do you want to climb trees with me? I'm tired, growled Dozer. Go do a few laps around the jungle, okay? Verdi's heart sank. Greens were not only lazy and boring, they were rude. At the top of a very tall tree, Verdi gripped one branch with his tail and another with his little snake jaws. I will never be lazy, boring, or green, he thought. I will jump and climb and keep moving so fast that I will stay yellow and striped forever. Then Verdi let go. Check it out where he is. What do you think's going to happen? If you thought he'd go flying in the air, you are right. Check it out. Away he goes, and then he looks like a spiral, doesn't he? From a distance, the greens watched. Oh my, they chorused. Ribbon shook his head. At this rate, he'll be lucky to make it to his first molt. Aggie nodded. He's likely to put an eye out on a branch. Umbles moaned. He may not live to turn green. Do you remember what a molt is? Anybody know? That's when a snake, or sometimes other animals, lose their skin and grow new skin underneath. So they see Verdi way up in the sky. It does look a little dangerous, doesn't it? Because what goes up has to come down. But one day, Verdi's skin began to peel, revealing a pale green stripe stretching along his whole body. Cack! He gasped. How can this be? I'm the speediest snake in the jungle, and I'm still turning green. He raced down to the river, grabbing up a mouthful of rough leaves. I wonder what he's going to do with the red leaves. I wonder what he thinks so bad about being green. Verdi flung himself into the water. If I can't run this green off, I'll scrub it off, he thought. Do you think that's going to work? His frantic splashing caught the eye of a large bottom feeder cruising the murky depths. Yum, the old fish hummed. Lunch. So, he thinks Verdi will make a good lunch. He sees him right up here. I wonder what happens. Before the fish could haul Verdi under, the frightened snake bit him on the nose. Ah, pooh! With a blast of his rubbery lips, the great fish sneezed, sending Verdi into the air. Slapping onto the soggy shore, Verdi skidded out of reach. So he bit his nose, and then the fish sneezed, and away he went, flying into the air, and now he landed on the shore. Phew! That was close, he sputtered. Every inch of his body was covered with wet, gloppy mud. Kind of lumpy, kind of brown. It sure beats being green. He left the mud on. I wonder if he's going to keep liking the mud. But the soft brown muck dried into a hard gray shell, and Verdi could barely move. If he even budged, the stuff cracked off in jagged chunks. As each piece fell away, Verdi could see that his body was even greener than before. This is terrible, cried Verdi. He pictured himself hanging around in droopy loops, itching and complaining and worrying all day like the old greens. He looked up into the sky, where the sun blazed a beautiful yellow, just the color he used to be. Then he pulled a vine to the top of the tree. I wonder what's next. Launching himself from the treetop, Verdi startled a flock of colorful birds. He became dizzy with delight. Sure, the bright sun and his lofty speed would turn him golden again. In his joy, Verdi forgot he would fall back to earth. Ah, he's up there having fun with the birds, way up there with the birds. And when he comes back down, whippity, whappity, flip, flap, wham! Plummeting through the trees, Verdi landed in a crooked sprawl across a log on the forest floor. He couldn't move. Help! He croaked. Oh no, poor Verdi. As usual, the Greens had been watching Verdi's antics. They moved quickly to where he lay. Didn't we say it would come to this? Umbles said, shaking his head. Aggie sighed. Lucky thing, he's still got 2 good eyes. They gently lifted Verdi up to a safer place where they could watch him while he healed. Well, that was nice of them to watch him while he healed. Neatly splinted to a branch, Verdi had no choice but to listen to the Greens as they gabbed. Remember how I used to streak across the forest floor? Ribbon asked. Quick as lightning, answered Aggie, and I climbed giant trees like they were nothing. They grew taller then, you know. The things I dared to run down and swallow, Umbles bragged. Wild boar were no match for me. Verdi was astonished. You used to run and climb and hunt giant pigs? What happened? Ribbon crashed, just like you, Aggie replied. I took a terrible fall and almost put an eye out. Then old Umbles here nearly choked to death. Now we all prefer the quiet life, a warm perch, a little sunshine, and an occasional good meal. The Greens rambled on about their days of glory, and Verdi settled in on his branch. So, kind of like when someone breaks a bone now, they put it in a cast, and this is kind of like putting him in a cast. They tied him to a tree branch so he couldn't move, and so that it would heal. Finally, one afternoon, Umbles said, Looks like you are ready to go again. He carefully untied Verdi from the branch. You are welcome to come with us, said Aggie. Ribbon agreed. The 3 Greens slipped quietly back into the forest. Verdi wasn't ready to join them. He wasn't sure where he wanted to go, so he just stretched and stayed put until the sun went down. He listened to the forest come alive. Ooh, look, he can move again. Check out the night sky. Look carefully and you'll see a few extra things on here. Do you see the bug that's on this leaf? Anything else on here? If you look carefully over here, this branch is a bird. And if you look down here further, there's a frog. So, That's called camouflage, remember? Time passed. The sun and moon took turns in the sky. Verdi marveled as the full moon grew thinner every night. Then he watched patiently as it grew round again. He wondered why he hadn't noticed that before. Verdi became so green that he blended perfectly with the leaves. He was so still that other creatures walked right by without seeing him. So, do you see he's kind of in this circular pile right there? And this animal is going right past and doesn't even notice him. Do you think he's getting kind of like the old greens? Not sure he wanted that early on. One fine morning, as Verdi basked in the sunshine, two small yellow snakes approached. They tapped and fidgeted as they stared. "Get a load of that old green guy," one of them whispered. "Do you ever think he moves?" The other snickered. "I seriously doubt it." "They're just like I used to be," thought Verdi. "And now I'm what I was afraid to be." He looked at his big green body and slowly smiled. "How would you like to climb trees with me?" he asked. "With you?" The yellows were astounded. "I'll even show you my fancy figure 8, Verdi replied, though he was a little worried about putting his eye out. So now look at them together. So what do you think? Is he really going to do it? With practice, the three snakes performed a perfect triple figure 8. Leaping and looping with his little striped friends, Verdi laughed. "I may be big and very green, but I'm still me." And there's some notes about snakes in the back. So if you want to check that out and find out more about snakes, you can go on Google and you'll find out more there.